welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Refracted Curvature, Sensual Goat, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server, so welcome one and all.
How are you?
Slightly miserable, if I'm honest.
Hello.
Losing my temper with my computer. So in spite of, I don't know, getting this computer 3 years ago, whenever the 30 series graphics cards were in vogue and under stress because of the shutdowns for COVID, there was supply chain shortages, and this computer cost a huge amount of money for the person who supplied it to me. Now, they picked the spec, and it arrived and was horrendous for about 2 years, and eventually, with a lot of assistance from Craig at Click OK Computers, my local computer service technician, it's been brought into line. His cost, as in, it's not actually cost me anything to do that. It's been free work, free labour. Obviously, I've had to buy components, which have been sourced and funded sometimes by patrons, sometimes by GoFundMes, but this computer has had thousands of pounds spent on it to make it a stable working tool. Now, for that fact, I can spend all day playing games, watching videos, streaming stuff, doing stuff with the kids. It's a general home workhorse that works perfectly all day long, doing things all day, every day, without issue. The second I start to record anything, this computer becomes an absolute nightmare. Suddenly the video I want to respond to, playing at an average to low quality, won't play for more than 15 seconds without getting a whirly whirl. When I'm responding to a video during the live stream, like when doing Dan, the video's crapping out, giving me the whirly whirl, various different tabs of the computer are shutting down and telling me that I'm running out of memory when I'm not. I just generally have the most horrendous of time just trying to run your average show. Now, I understand and appreciate that I haven't got an average show. I've got several different communication lines open while the show's running, but it's no different to how it was running on a far inferior computer 5 to 10 years ago. So it's not like I'm asking the computer to do anything the old, crappier computer did without issue for years and years and years on end. But now, with this new computer, having had thousands spent on it and a massively increased internet connection speed, it now runs like shit daily when I do my show. And it pisses me off to the point of me just in total distress. That's all I can call it, distress. Because that's what it leaves me. Now, maybe that's the fucking point of having this hunk of shit sat behind me for the last 3 years, to cause me distress. I have no fucking idea. All I know is I'm irritated with the fact that just trying to play a video on a gigabit's worth of internet connection on a computer that's bang up to date and has had literally thousands of pounds spent on it isn't possible. Like, I can't play a video for more than 25 fucking seconds without getting a fucking whirly whirl on it. And that's annoying, to say the least, given the amount of money, time and attention to detail I put into making videos for my audience. Now, that's before I even start moaning about the fact that if you search me by name, you won't find me. You certainly won't find the fact that I'm live. It's not going to be highlighted to a vastly expanding audience. But the audience that I deeply care about is getting shortchanged on the quality of the video, not because I haven't sacrificed other shit in my life to make sure that I've got really good equipment to give you a decent stream. No, I've sacrificed in my life so I've got a decent box behind me that doesn't pour endless howling fan noise into the microphone. No, I've gone to efforts to treat the room so you don't have horrible, nasty, evil-sounding reverb. The intelligibility level's reasonable, and I can hear my guests when I respond to them. I go to all these efforts just so that my gigabit internet connection can't play a 480p quality video. So maybe I should just start saying, don't buy Virgin internet shit. Don't buy them. If you want to play a 480 video and stream it at the same time, you won't be capable of doing it on Virgin Media. It is shit. Because I don't know what else to do other than moan about how horrendous the service I'm getting is, because it is absolutely useless. I've pressed play, nothing is happening. Why? Well, because this shitty connection that I'm using doesn't allow me to respond to videos in a timely manner when I try and do my work on YouTube. So that's me moaning about what can I do? Shall I buy another absolutely bang-up-to-date computer to replace the absolutely bang-up-to-date computer that I've got that's already had thousands spent on it? Because that seems stupid. Should I get a better, faster internet connection? Oh, there isn't one. So what do? Well, if you're watching this and you expect me to be able to play a 480p quality video without it constantly being interrupted by a whirly well, you're shit out of luck, I'm afraid. And literally nothing I do, no amount of money I spend, will be able to remedy that fact.
Well, we know the owner of Virgin Media is Richard Branson, and he's a liar. And we know him to be a liar because he claimed to put rockets in the sky vacuum, and we know that we have gas pressure, so we must have containment.
So yeah, all I can do is dissuade you from using the same absolutely horrendous internet provider that I've got, because you won't be able to play a 480p video and record it at the same time, in spite of how good your computer is. It doesn't matter if you've got 24 cores of processing power and a bang-up-to-date graphics card. You won't be able to play a 480p video on Virgin. So just take it from me. No point using that service.
Over Alaska, but if you look at this map, Alaska is a straight line from LA to Japan on there.
What? When you use the mapping correctly, it works if you use it from the centre out. It's azimuthal equidistant in terms of its projection from a globe. So I hate it when people talk about this shit. And because they've started their discussion by saying flat earthers believe that, they can then waffle their ignorant garbage because they believe in their stupid idiot minds that they're actually saying it on behalf of me. Oh, this is what a flat earther thinks. No! As I said in the pre-show, with a constant stream of whirly whirls over the top and long pauses and protracted silences, yeah? This map, is not used by us. It's used by globe believers as a straw man to say that flat earthers believe like they are doing. So they misrepresent us in the same way the globe believers who oppose us misrepresent and lie about what is not our map. It's not even a flat earth map, it's a globe projection.
You know, you talk about science and things like that.
You do. You said you're a science lover. Anthropomorphization and reification fallacies all rolled into one at your introduction.
And the two characteristics of a spinning ball are curvature and motion. And
and both require flat planes of reference. But if you're going to describe motion, you're going to be describing it in global contexts with non-inertial and inertial flat planes of reference to describe Coriolis deflection at 15 degrees an hour, the motion of the lights in the sky. It's not a surface of a sphere turning, it's two flat planes. One inertial, one non-inertial, both flat. That's strike one. So no, that's not a characteristic of a globe. Go and look up what a non-inertial turning reference frame is and tell me how sphere-shaped it isn't. When you're telling your audience incorrectly how characteristic non-inertial turning reference frames are. With respect to globes, they're not, idiot! Why are you flapping your gums about this, you ignorant clown? You don't know what you're talking about. You're describing characteristics of non-inertial frames of reference as being characteristics of globes. Moron. You know what you're babbling about, do you? The next you describe a characteristic of a globe being curvature. Well, the derivation of the curvature for your spherical Earth that you're describing with an azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric globe projection is derived from flat Earth measurements also. Like everything that starts with an Earth measurement, it's going to be flat to create an Earth curve at 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height off a flat Earth. As per your begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator that I can rattle off without any issue because I'm not ignorant of this subject. This straw man using moron is telling us about characteristics that require flat origins for a globe Earth and flat planes of reference for motion. Idiot! Why are you talking about this subject?
Time again, we've seen people's inability to prove these things by doing experiments here.
Sorry, you don't prove a flat plane of reference with an experiment. Again, we've got morons in our midst, haven't we? Somebody who's obviously a clown. Johnny Bravo here thinks that we need to prove flat planes of reference and motion with experiments. What an idiot. Hello? An experiment is the validation of cause and effect reasoning based on naturally observed phenomena. Do you think a flat plane of reference is a naturally occurring phenomena? In curvature, in any shape or form, is a naturally occurring phenomena. You think we need science for this, do you? No, you're not a science lover, you're a moron. You haven't got a clue what science is. Or you wouldn't be declaring that we need science for curves or science for motion. What, for the planes of reference you'll describe the 15 degrees an hour with? Now, these are maths. 15 degrees an hour. Yeah?
Here on the Earth. Motion, if you want to look back at Michelson-Morley in the 1800s, they did an experiment where
No, they didn't. You're going to tell me that the Michelson-Morley experiment was the observation of a naturally occurring phenomena? No, you don't know what science is. You've dipped your toe into the moron foray of ether idiots who incorrectly ascribe themselves as flat earthers. Yeah, those people are morons. You're a moron. Michelson-Morley is not an experiment.
where they were bouncing light rays around mirrors.
Sounds very natural. Step 1 in the natural sciences. Observe natural phenomena so that you can establish your presumed cause of this effect. That's a hypothesis, otherwise known as scientific prediction. The prediction of what will cause the effect you observed in nature, yet to be validated. Suppositional in format, contrasted with a null, zero difference result hypothesis. That's science. This is idiocy spewed by retards. You, sir, claiming that bouncing light around in a bit of machinery is a natural phenomena for science to get involved. No, sir, you just don't know what science is. You're not a lover of science, you're a moron.
To determine the speed at which the ether was moving, because at that time they...
But what's ether? And how is this very unnatural man-made shite proving something that's undefined? It isn't.
They thought we were moving through an ether, and I don't think they were...
But they thought we were. Step 1, observe natural phenomena. If you knew what science was, you'd understand how it worked. Step 1, watch something occurring. So you can ask yourself, I wonder why that happened. Do you think this? Oh, they said that we're moving through ether. Sorry, what did they observe naturally occurring in nature? Oh, they didn't. They cobbled together a little box of tricks, did they? This sounds, what's the word? Synthetic. Moron. Stop talking about science, you're a retard.
Far off. But what they found was that the Earth was not spinning.
If you spent as much time looking at what the definition of science was as you did gelling up your Johnny Bravo hairstyle, you wouldn't have me tearing you a new strip for being an abject clown.
Like they thought it was. In fact, Albert Einstein had to come out and say that he didn't believe there's any optical experiment that could prove the motion of the Earth.
Experiments establish the cause of naturally occurring phenomena if the method is adhered to correctly. Step 1, observe phenomena. That's something occurring in nature. Step 2, assume a cause of the phenomena, otherwise known as an independent variable. Your observed phenomena being your dependent variable. It's a suppositional statement in hypothesis format, otherwise known as stated earlier, scientific prediction. If and then. If causal influencer, independent variable, the thing you think will cause the dependent variable, naturally occurring phenomena. It's an if and then statement. If presumed cause, then effect I observe in nature. Now that's validated by something called an experiment. You vary and manipulate your presumed causal influencer to see if it causes the naturally occurring phenomena. Einstein saying that I don't think we can validate ether with light at all. That's not observation of natural phenomena now, is it?
And he also said, by the way, no amount of experimentation could prove him right, but a single experiment could prove him wrong.
Just meaningless bullshit. Experiments validate causal influences through systematic experimentation based on hypothesis after observing natural phenomena. What they do is validate cause. Einstein's stupid nonsensical drivel about what he could or couldn't be proven wrong with the introduction of the word experiment, is meaningless Einsteinian drivel. Like his conjured out of thin air gravity from pseudo-Riemannian fourth dimensional space-time. He just invented that shit. Plucked it out of thin air, like this garbage waffle about experimentation and whether or not it'll prove him right. All experimentation will do is validate the suppositional cause of an effect you observed in nature, or disprove it as not the causal influencer. That's a validation of a null hypothesis. Because all science does is prove the null. That would be you don't get the outcome you were hoping for. You varied A and it didn't cause B. Tick next to the null hypothesis. Zero difference result proven. That's why science is empirical, and that's why idiot charlatans punting ether use this word to make the impression with morons like Johnny Bravo here think they've got experimental validity.
And that's the nature of astronomy, because it is an observational science. You're not...
Observational science is just a misnomer, moron, drivel about nothing that he understands. You don't understand what science is, son. Don't talk about it.
Doing very much experimentation.
Experimentation is the assertion of a valid cause for an effect observed in nature through systematic experimentation based on hypothesis. This idiot doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just trying to sound smart.
More observation than it is experiment.
Right, more observation than it is experiment. So observation of natural phenomena is step 1. It happens long before you validate the cause of the phenomena through an experiment. Your drivel just made you sound like a retard.
So if it only takes one thing...
If you knew what you were talking about, you wouldn't be stuttering like a spastic. But if you do try to sound like you've got a semblance of clue about what science is, having declared yourself a science lover, you're going to if stutter your way around your bullshit nonsense waffle that didn't make any sense after talking about Einstein and his declarations about what will or will not be proven through scientific validity. Meanwhile, science ascertains the cause of naturally occurring phenomena through systematic experimentation. That's what science is. Natural science. The scientific method.
To prove Albert Einstein wrong, the first of many...
Sorry, what was that non sequitur about proving Einstein wrong? Wrong about what?
Would be Michelson-Morley, which proved that the Earth is not spinning, and that.
We don't need to prove non-existence. There's no need for me to prove that Earth is not a unicorn, or that Earth is not a giant turtle. All right? If you want to claim it is a giant turtle, you get on with proving that positive assertion. But the non-existence of movement needs no evidence to stand at it. If you want to claim we are frickin' moving, that's an outrageous claim that you better prove, not flip the burden and suggest that I have to prove the non-existence of movement with Michelson-Morley. Now, you've been hoodwinked by morons who are trying to charlatan you into believing in free energy through ether, with these words that they lie with, like experiment. That's all you've been victim to, moron. You and your declarations of being a science lover have meant you've been prone to being victimised by scammers and charlatans who've told you they've got science from Michelson-Morley that validates the Einsteinian... What? I don't even understand from his nonsense waffle whether he thinks it's being turned down by Einstein or affirmed. Meanwhile, you don't need Einstein to prove we're not moving. You don't prove non-existence. You can validate a null when you get your presumed cause wrong. If you're doing actual science, that's varying and manipulating that which you think will cause a phenomena you observed in nature. None of what this shite you've got from the ether-believing wankers is science. But you thought it was, didn't you, Johnny Bravo?
Experiment has been repeated over and over and over again.
What was the naturally occurring phenomena, you fucktard? Oh, you don't know? Are you going to direct me to the box of synthetic gizmo that they are going to point you towards? You think that's a naturally occurring phenomenon we need to study? No. We're talking about physics. Yeah, science, the scientific method. Then we'll be dealing with the physical and natural world. Because anything outside of that is synthetic. That means man-made. Now, when you get down to Michelson-Morley, you very quickly, if you're not a retard, like Johnny Bravo here, quickly realise that what you're studying is something synthetic. This man-made box of gizmos and light bulbs. Okay, so we know the cause of this. A man made it! He even put his freaking name on it. There's two of them, right? Michelson and Morley. Yeah? That's who made the man-made synthetic gizmo. Yeah? Meanwhile, crackhead, science is concerned with the physical and natural world, not man-made gizmos, because we already know what caused them. A man making them caused that. So there's no need for investigation with the scientific method. Not that this clown knows what that is. He's just declaring himself a science lover so people think he's less stupid than the gel hair suggests.
The next would be lack of curvature. So if anyone who's looked into flat Earth has...
Again, do I need to prove the lack of something? Outrageous claims like Earth has curvature will have to defy the actual measurements of Earth's surface as a flat plane of reference. Horizontal in nature, you defy them if you're going to suggest we do have curve. There isn't any. Now, it's a positive claim that we have curve. I don't have to prove the lack of it. I am sick to death of retard flat earthers telling me how far we should or shouldn't see, because they're under the idiotic misapprehension that they have to disprove the non-existence of a curve that hasn't been proven. You idiot flat earthers. Don't allow your opponent who hasn't proven that there is curvature to flip the burden and suggest you have to prove non-existence of curvature. It's idiot flat earthers that give this Johnny Bravo crackhead retard the power he has when he talks about the lack of curvature. Lack of curvature? Well, like the lack of unicorns? You're going to charge me with proving the lack of unicorns next? No. If you want to prove unicorns are real, show me, that's you with the positive burden, you making the claim that unicorns are real, you will be the one to prove that they are real. I will not sit here and be told that I've got to prove the lack of existence of unicorns, the lack of existence of Earth curve, and the lack of existence of Earth motion. These things do not need scientific validation. I don't have to have scientifically validated that we don't have unicorns and that we don't have Earth curve. Now, idiots who think that there are such things as unicorns and Earth curve, they've failed to prove it. And in so doing, you've got idiot crackhead clown shows like Simon Dan telling you it is okay to measure Earth flat. That's what you're being told. Because that's how Earth's measured, and any suggestion otherwise will defy the frickin' measurements of Earth. There's none of this shit going to be tolerated from me from here forward. Why should I have to listen to people tell me I'm responsible for proving the non-existence of an Earth curve that defies the very measurements of Earth that we do actually have? That my opponents like Dan are telling you, it's okay, globe believers, we can measure Earth locally flat. Yeah, we measure Earth flat. So I'm not responsible for proving the lack of frickin' Earth curve.
Welcome back to Dark Corner Studios. My name is Aidan Wolf, and today,
If it only takes one thing to prove Albert Einstein wrong, the first of many would be Michelson-Morley, which proved that the Earth is not spinning, and that.
Go and learn about burden of proof. It's not my responsibility to prove Einstein wrong. It is his responsibility to prove his pseudo-geometry that he made up. You understand that? That's his freaking burden, not mine. I don't have to disprove a bending time dimension. Yeah, if Einstein's going to be charged with anything, it's proving the crap he made up.
That experiment has been repeated over and over and over.
That's not an experiment. An experiment is the assertion of cause and effect. That's to say you validate the cause of an effect you saw in nature. That's science. That's the scientific method. Step one in the scientific method. This is physics. Let's just break it down even further. Physics is science. Physics is the study of the physical and natural world. Underneath that title, you've got biology and chemistry, and any associated experimental validity that deals with the natural world. This is physics, natural science. It is elucidated by the singular scientific method. The scientific method is as follows. Step 1. Observe natural phenomena. That is something occurring, something happening in nature. This excludes everything synthetic because you already know the cause. A man made it. That's what synthetic means. So notwithstanding that we must study the physical nature of the natural world we inhabit, we would move on to step 2. Formulate a suppositional causal influencer in something we call a hypothesis. Half of it you've already got. It's the dependent variable, the thing you're studying. The naturally occurring phenomena. That's your dependent variable. Half the hypothesis is already done for you because you've already got your DV, your dependent variable, your natural phenomena. The other half is what you think causes it, your independent variable. Once you've got an independent and a dependent variable, you've got half of a hypothesis. The other half is the antithesis/mirror of your prediction. If your prediction is A causes B, then your null or zero difference result is A doesn't cause B. Now, only one of those two outcomes are possible in a hypothesis. Step 2, formulate hypothesis. Step 3, see which of the two outcomes is true. Only one is true, and only one will be true at the end of experimentation. Experimentation is the variation and manipulation of the presumed cause of the effect you are studying. You vary A to see if it causes B. That's actualization of hypothesis, otherwise known as experiment. Now, if you can formulate that method, set in stone, known as the scientific method, into this synthetic garbage, then you're a better man than I. Because it's synthetic, not natural science.
Again, The next would be lack of curvature. So if anyone who's looked into flat Earth has seen that there's been plenty of experiments done over bodies of water in particular, especially when the water is cooler than the air, it makes for a great ability to see over long distances. And
who gives a shit? Earth's been measured flat and referenced flat for every altitude and elevation measurement of any surface of any earth or ground ever with respect to the measured and average surface called sea level. That is how we measure Earth without exception. It is level because it's axiomatically tied to elevations with respect to it, perpendicular to it, as a plane of reference, as an average. Earth is already measured flat and is used always without exception for building anything ever when describing its altitude. So why in unholy hell do I have to rely on a bunch of idiot retard flat earthers to go out and point their fucking cameras over the ocean? I don't need any stupid retard flat earthers to go out and point their fucking stupid P900s over the ocean. Okay? Yeah, I'm talking to you bunch of numpty flat earthers who are still going out and buying P900 so you can take photos or something. We already measured the ocean. We use it to build things and navigate with. It's flat. It's in the frickin' title. We don't need your P900 anymore. Earth's flat. Sea level proves it. If you don't know what sea level is, go and look it up. It's used daily. Now you, let's just talk to the other bunch of retards who watch my show. You bunch of retard globe believers. You can believe, like Simon Dan said, that we've got a, quote, curved sea level. You can believe that if you're a globe believing numpty dickhead who understands and appreciates how curved sea level axiomatically can have anything perpendicular to it for heights and elevations. Yeah, you go away and tell me that I need to be locked up for child abuse or something because I've told you in no uncertain terms that Dan's wrong, elevations are perpendicular to sea level, and it doesn't curve, it's level, it's in the title. We don't need to point our cameras over the ocean if you're a flat earther, okay? Yeah, there wasn't an argument. You're not helping things by suggesting that you are the arbiter of our flat earthers because you've got a P900. You're not. You self-absorbed retard flat earthers. Yeah, you're not the arbiter of our flat earthers with your camera, you stupid self-absorbed idiot flat earther. Okay? It was always measured flat. It was always called sea level. And every time you, holding your stupid little P900, heard the word sea level, you just ignored it. You didn't realise that axiomatically Earth must be flat with that measuring tool that we use daily. It's the only way Earth was ever measured, but you were put into a stupid, idiotic position where you were led to be able to be argued with by a bunch of other idiots. Because then it seems like you with your P900 arguing about Earth curve maths are the arbiters of whether or not Earth's spherical or flat, when we're measuring it flat anyway. Regardless of your belief in a ball Earth or flat Earth, you're both the same, you're both idiots. It was always measured flat for everybody. Dan is starting to find out just how idiotic it is to be a ball Earther at the moment, as I humiliate him with his own words, as he describes to his audience how it's okay to measure Earth flat. But it's only on very local scales for convenience that we measure Earth flat. Yeah. Doesn't matter who you are, I've been saying it for about a year. If you're a ball believer, you're going to be telling me Earth's measured flat, because it is. When you get to the nitty-gritty of how Earth's dealt with, it's flat. But the game was making idiots, normally frickin' hippies, with stupid stones and crystals, carrying P900s telling the world that they can figure it out. We don't need you stone-carrying, crystal-defining hippies with your stupid ether and your P900s to tell us how Earth's measured. It's already been measured. We don't need you anymore, you bunch of hippies. Okay? All you're doing is fueling the fire that there's actually a debate to be had, while you hold your camera and tell us, I can see too far. Too far? Who's decided how frickin' far we can see? Earth curve maths that's created with flat Earth measurements to begin with. This is a stupid discussion. Why are we having it?
They're keeping us. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
They're keeping us in 2015, or they're trying to keep us in 2015. Pay attention. At one time, yeah, maybe it opened our eyes a little bit when people were using the P900 and bringing boats back. But like Nathan is saying, we have measurements now. Let's move forward.
Yeah, the game was to make it seem like there was an argument. The game was to make it seem like there was a debate. The game was to have hippie idiots. Yeah, and this is what it boils down to. Yeah, the hippie idiots that were corralled into a group by Jaren. If you're watching this and thinking, with your tie-dye T-shirt holding your crystal, I'm not that hippie idiot. Yeah, you are. You're a hippie idiot. You are corralled into being a useful idiot. Because it's useful to have you, the hippie idiot with your P900, looking over the ocean, the sea level, ignoring the sea level that's used, suggesting that you're the arbiter of whether or not the world's flat. Yeah, that's useful. Because then you can argue that your P900 and seeing too far needs debating about, with Earth curve mathematics being at the core of your discussions. You bunch of useful idiot flat earthers. That's all you've done. Enabled an argument where there wasn't one to begin with. That's what you've achieved as flat earthers. Now I'm getting the whirly whirl on my live stream. Shocking, innit? About the exact same time I'd get it every single day with my gigabit internet connection. Don't buy Virgin Media. Don't get Virgin. You won't be able to live stream. You won't be able to play a 480p video. There's no point buying Virgin Media. It's a useless service. More whirly whirl.
Well, since we're talking about it anyway, this Earth curve math that you're alluding to, could you go in further into how that actually works?
The begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator acquires as the first measurement your elevation off sea level or surface level. It's right there in the maths, labelled surface level. Now, if, just in case your opponent decides to tell you that no, surface level's actually curved surface level, like Dan did in his most recent video about me, curved sea level, then point out that in the same exact mathematics, that's begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve mathematics, they have parallel eye level to derive the dip angle calculation from the height off surface level, flat and parallel with the elevated eye level you'll use for your dip angle calculation, to calculate into existence a point below the surface level you just measured that must remain flat and level and parallel with the eye at altitude for you to mathematically infer that there's a second surface level below the surface level you just measured that you can mark with an X and label horizon in an orthographic view.
So even in Earth curve maths, the surface is not curving. That's odd, isn't it?
Correct. But they had us looking for curvature for years. Some people are still looking for curvature. I hear it every day.
Quick shout out to Chow and Cat for the super chat. It says, for it is by the grace you have been saved through faith. This is not from yourselves. It is the gift from God, not by works, so that no one can boast. Okay, thank you for the super chat.
That's Ephesians 2, 8, and 9, I believe.
As long as I'm not being called a heathen or anything while I lose my temper and get frustrated about the current state of affairs in Flat Earth. The anticipation for the book that's coming out, right? That anticipation is being expressed by me currently as frustration, right?
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, I typically don't mind being misrepresented and lied about. I'm kind of used to it, but by the same token, it's like I want people to actually read the book and hear the information so that it's solidified, cemented, whatever the word is, in people's minds as they're talking about this subject. Every turn I seem to take in Flat Earth at the moment, excuse me, I see another Flat Earther punting the 2014 arguments like we need to look and figure out whether or not we see too far. It's like we're measuring Earth flat with sea level. We're measuring the Earth flat. And our opponents admit it. I mean, admittedly, they'll say, yes, it's okay, we can use trig, it's perfectly good to measure Earth flat over short distances, it's locally flat, and that's fine. It doesn't mean Earth's flat because over big distances it breaks down because Earth's a ball. You go, okay. So we measure Earth flat then. Okay. So our opponents, like I told you 6 months, 12 months ago, will be telling you just how flat Earth is measured when you put this to them. And here we are, with one of the biggest anti-flat earthers out there, making a response video to me and agreeing with me. Telling his audience, yeah, we measure Earth flat at the local level. That's cool, that's perfectly fine. It's much more convenient to measure Earth flat. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah. Yeah, we do. So why are we arguing about how far we can see again? Am I missing something? Have I dropped the ball here? Why do I need to go out and buy a pair of binoculars or a P900 and film boats coming back? Am I missing something? So we're going to look over the sea level. Will we measure the distance to the boat in a straight linear fashion and call it a mile? Or 3 miles or 5 miles? Will we do that? So we'll require Earth to be a flat horizontal plane of reference to describe the flat linear distance in miles to the boat over the sea level that's used to describe any height. And if we're going to calculate anything from it at all, we're going to measure our height off the surface level, perpendicular to it. So, unless I'm very much mistaken, before we do anything, we'll measure Earth flat 3 different ways first. Okay, sorry, why are we doing this again? Why do we need a camera? My height's off sea level. The sea level is level. My elevation's described perpendicular to it. The distance that we're going to ascribe to anything I'm looking at is going to be flat, straight, linear, and described with miles. So we're going to need a flat Earth prerequisite 3 different ways before we do anything. But I'm going to do those 3 flat Earth prerequisite motions and measurements and then argue about whether or not it's flat. Why? Why would I do that?
It does seem like it's deliberate. It does actually seem like it's deliberate. That's why the book is important. When it comes out, people will get it in great detail. I don't know why the penny's not dropping.
And the reason people like to do it over water is because you can ensure that you're standing at sea level on one side.
So we can ensure that we're standing at sea level. So we've got sea level. Retard. A dickhead. Idiot. So you need sea level then. Yeah, game over. Earth's flat. We need sea level. Axiomatically, it's flat for you to have this discussion and describe sea level for your altitude off it. So we're going to start by having a sea level. Earth's flat. If you don't understand that Earth is flat, go and measure Earth in any capacity. Or, like this idiot, just describe anything to do with a reference that involves Earth, in this case sea level. And very quickly you'll find yourself using terminology and language that axiomatically forces Earth to be a flat plane, whether you like it or not. Now, for this retard that we're responding to, if you reach the point where you axiomatically understand that we need a frickin' sea level, you can do one of 2 things. Deny that Earth is measured flat with sea level, in which case you have no measurements to make any claims with, globe or otherwise, or you drop to your knees and faceplant into the axiomatic sea level that you require to further this discussion. Not with me. Now, I'll stop this perceived to be discussion at the point that we require Earth to be flat with sea level. Because there is no discussion moving forward. Earth is flat. It's got a sea level. Yeah, we've measured it. We checked. It's level. That's why we gave it the title. Okay? Earth's flat. We checked. Okay? We know it's flat. We checked. Yeah? Everyone who talks about Earth and its measurement will affirm this fact. It's flat. We measured. We checked. Okay? You don't need to go out with your cameras.
And looking at sea level on the other side.
on the other side of a linear, flat, measured mile distance that you'll ascribe if you're going to describe how much curve there is deviating from a horizontal plane, mathematically, in begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculators. Yeah? The ones that were derived from minimal radial values that use the lights in the sky, you said prove nothing. You, sir, don't talk about this subject ever again. In fact, you should be making an apology video. What's this man's name? This man has misrepresented me. He's lied about models that aren't mine, that he didn't understand and was too ignorant to even name correctly. He's a disingenuous, deceitful, scumbag liar, and I expect him to make a retraction video pointing out that he had no place in this discussion. He shouldn't have been talking about idiotic notions of curvature with sea level in his descriptions. He needs to make a retraction and point out his own ignorance and never make any videos about the nature of how flat Earth gets measured with sea level ever again. Yeah, we're going to be expecting retraction videos, you stupid clown. Why are you discussing this subject? Why are you even here?
And there's a calculation that we use, and it's 8 inches per mile squared.
That's not a calculation. That's a squared function. The calculation is 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height measured off a flat Earth. That's the distance to the geometric horizon in the, begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator. I know it because I've been dealing with this subject 10 years. I'm not lying about what Johnny Bravo here has as a map or model. I don't need to lie about Johnny Bravo's embarrassing lack of understanding of what science is when he declares himself a, quote, science lover. He's not. He's a liar. Now, by his own standards, he should burn in hell for being such a disingenuous shitbag, lying about what most people accept as models, when I'm vehemently opposed to that crap that he's lying about, stuttering about, and claiming that his calculations are 8 inches per mile squared. That's a squared function. That's just a declaration of a squared function that you clearly do not understand.
Is the calculation to determine how much vertical curvature should...
Sorry, how much vertical curvature? Do you mean drop from the horizontal? Maybe you could give us some other nonsensical, dribbly words.
Should be in between you and what you're viewing. And so basically in 1 mile, there should be an 8-inch drop.
1 mile's a linear, flat measurement. The drop would be a drop from the horizontal plane of reference I described in the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking curve calculator, as the drop from the horizontal, the surface level, in the maths. I understand this maths, that's why I can and will talk about it. You do not understand this maths. Yeah? You are ignorant. Do not talk about this subject, you ignorant man.
And it's a squared relationship, so in 2 miles, it's then 32. It doesn't just go 8, 16, 32. It increases exponentially. So when you get up to large...
Right, exponentially? No. It's a squared function, not exponential function. Squared function.
Distances that can really make an enormous difference.
An enormous stuttering around the fact that you don't know the calculation to the distance to the geometric horizon below surface level in the Earth curve maths. It's 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height of a flat Earth. In order for you to infer this Earth curve, you will need to measure your height off surface level, perpendicular to a plane of reference labelled as surface level in Earth curve maths. It won't be bending surface level, because then it wouldn't be level, and it wouldn't have eye level, useful for deriving dip calculations to mathematical only geometric horizons, parallel with surface level. So it will need to be flat, you will have to measure Earth, and it will be the surface level in your maths. It's not a squared exponential, just so we're clear.
We'll go to like the most extreme example. There is a world record photograph of a guy who basically, he was standing in Spain on a mountain, and he took a picture of a mountain in France. It's like 275 miles away.
The distance would be straight and linear. A flat Earth could only be used to describe the distance. The height of each mountain would be measured off a flat surface level described as an average with sea level. That's how you get the altitude in feet or meters of both mountains. to describe anything in this description whatsoever, like earlier when I said, I've got to accept 3 axiomatic flat Earth principles. Coincidentally, they're the same axiomatic flat Earth principles that Simon Dan agreed to. I mean, he only said it was locally being measured flat with these axiomatically tied to a flat Earth principles like linear flat distance and perpendicular elevation off sea level. These are the flat Earth measurements that make Earth flat by measurement. So I'm not going to be discussing how some idiot flat earther's gone out with his camera and ignored the fact that he needs sea level, or that the mountain's height's measured off sea level, or that the linear straight distance to the other mountain requires Earth as a horizontal plane of reference. All of these things just show me, in no uncertain terms, that Earth is flat, because that's how it's being described and measured in this example, before we do anything.
Now, if he was standing at sea level, taking a picture of sea level,
then we've got sea level. So if we've got sea level and he's standing at sea level, it is. That's the end of this discussion. It's not an if statement, you complete fucking retard. If sea level, why if sea level? Am I missing something? Am I going mad? Is sea level an if statement? Or do we just have sea level? Yeah, we do, don't we? We just have sea level. So it's not really an if statement unless we've got retard flat earthers with P900s standing at sea level and going, you know what? I'm standing at sea level, something axiomatically tied to a flat earth, something useful for building things and navigating. I'm standing here at sea level. If sea level, then my P900 pictures, blah, 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 bullshit. Then there's a debate to be had. Now, if sea level, then sea level. There's no if statement. It's not necessary. You just need to acknowledge and get on your knees and acknowledge how flat Earth must be for sea level. It's level. It's all of the sea.
there should be over 10 miles of curvature height.
Right, if sea level, then curvature. Sorry, you're a retard. Listen to your own statement. If sea level, then curvature. Are you a spastic? No, mate. No, the sea level being sea level is just sea level. We use sea level. There's no if statement in sea level. It certainly isn't if sea level, then curve. That's the stupidest thing you could possibly say. But it's because of idiot flat earthers going out with their cameras and saying it for you on your behalf. Yeah, the ether retards that conned you and grifted you into believing that you get free energy from a non-experiment they lied about called Michelson-Morley. Those idiots have led you to make the declaration, if sea level, no, just sea level, then curve, well, then it wouldn't be sea level, would it? But it is. We definitely have sea level. It's used regularly, daily. We build things and measure things like heights off surface level, using that average for the whole of the world. So we don't really need any idiot flat earthers with their P900s, do we? We've got sea level. What more do you want? You need something better than the entire world averaged to a single horizontal plane of reference. Is that not a good enough flat earth measurement? You're using it! I'm pretty sure it's good enough. You're all using it.
Hiding either end. But he wasn't. He was up on a mountain, which the higher up you are,
the higher up you are, the more you need axiomatically a plane of reference to describe the height perpendicular to. If you're going to go up a mountain and describe how high it is, you're going to be on your knees acknowledging how perpendicular to a plane of reference it is for the height measurement off sea level. Everywhere on Earth is measured flat. There are no exceptions.
Further you can see, and so you have to account for that. And so when you account for that difference in elevation,
you don't need to account for any difference in elevation. The difference in elevation proves Earth's flat already. We don't need to go around proving what the difference will show us when we compare it to the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculators, use of a 1.22 times the square root of the observer's measured height off surface level. We're measuring Earth flat to make your inference that sea level isn't level, it's actually curved. Axiomatically violating the base principle your curve inference came from also. You're begging the question. Proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator has an R value in it. Where do you think you got that from? Measuring Earth flat with the lights in the sky, this idiot, ignorant fool suggested prove nothing. Yet you got an R value you're using to suggest and infer sea level ain't level if you look across it. Idiots.
The vertical curvature that was missing between those 2 points was over.
The vertical curvature missing, to describe a vertical curvature, that's a drop from a horizontal plane of reference. You need a horizontal plane of reference to describe it from in the first place. You haven't got anything missing. This is an idiot's way of saying, if I can measure Earth flat, I can describe a scenario where it isn't flat. Because there's missing curve that I derived by measuring Earth flat, inventing a curve to describe having, and then looking at and comparing the flat Earth with the sea level and the linear distances I'm measuring it with. Do you understand how stupid you, and this guy is no different to any other flat earther, he's dabbling with the shit you idiot flat earthers have put out there for 10 years. That's what this develops. This guy's a victim of idiot flat earthers telling you that they're the arbiter of whether or not Earth's flat with their P900s and they're seeing too far. Ignoring every single flat Earth prerequisite they have to measure along the way.
5 miles of curvature. And just for some reference, Mount Everest is roughly 5 miles tall.
So we've got a height off a flat plane for Everest. Yeah, I can just end the discussion here then, can't I? If Everest's got a height perpendicular to a plane of reference, it's its height off sea level, so Earth's flat. Either you get on your knees and acknowledge that to describe the height of Everest, you need a flat Earth to describe it or measure it with, or you can relinquish any measurements of any mountain ever. That's your choice. It's called the rock and hard place. The rock being you on your knees acknowledging how flat Earth must be to describe the height of the mountain off the flat surface level, or you can say, oh no, that's not a measurement, because it ain't globe-shaped, in which case you haven't got any measurements. You can just deny the measurements you rely upon that come from a flat Earth in the first place.
Yet you could see the entirety of the mountain from the mountain he was standing on, so there was actually zero curvature across 275 miles.
Of linear, flat, straight, measured distance for a height that you're going to say isn't missing any of the bottom of it. You're talking about a perspective representation with a linear distance and a height that you've already acquired off a surface level to put it through this calculation on screen. The H value comes from surface level, eye level's parallel. You need to measure your height off surface level and your distance in a linear, straight fashion to do these calculations. Good. That's someone trying to get a word in? No? Well, on that note.
No, man, you're on a roll. Rock with it.
I'm ill. I feel awful. I am so poorly. I've got sweat pouring off me. I've got a fever. I know I have. I shouldn't have done a show today, really. Anyway, let this videographer know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me as my voice starts cracking up. This videographer is called Bible Geeks. So please let Bible Geeks know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that doesn't immediately get eradicated by the YouTube algorithmic bots, or indeed by the videographer themselves. So you can see that swinging by its way in the YouTube live stream chat as we speak. There it be. So don't ignore it. I'm not saying it for my health. If you are actually watching, please do actually pop along to this videographer and let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. There's almost 100 people watching this live stream. So this isn't a particularly massive YouTube videographer. So I'm sure they'd be very appreciative of the subscribers and the views and comments and thumbs up and stuff. So yeah, please let them know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me.
Another example would be the state of Kansas. That state is 420 miles wide. It means that it should have a 20-foot tall bulge in the middle of it, which is pretty significant.
How's the bulge measured? Anybody? So there's a bulge in Kansas. Okay. I'll bite. So there's a bulge. How's it measured? How would we measure a bulge?
How big is the bulge? We're measuring everything off a flat Earth. To get any measurement, it requires a flat, level surface.
But its height
Well,
will be...
that's how we do it.
Dead.
I was going to say, you're going to measure the deviation of level from level to assert there's a bulge.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah. So the deviation from the horizontal plane of reference in the first instance will describe how high the bulge is or how low the depression would be if it was a valley. So you need a flat plane of reference to describe bulges with on the surface, or relief in the case of the salt flats. The relief is described from a horizontal plane of reference. The overall average for the whole of the world is sea level. Stay healthy, says Pablo, sorry.
For a state that's supposed to be flatter than a pancake.
Gigabit internet connection. Don't buy Virgin Media. Don't get Virgin Internet. This is what you get. I've paid for a gigabit connection. This is what you get. Whirly well.
He's asking
480p quality.
About the bulge of a flat pancake.
Which, by the way, it's only the 9th flattest state.
Sorry, go ahead, John. Obviously, you're being interrupted by a video. I pressed play on 25 seconds ago.
Well, he's asking about the bulge of a pancake. What the hell?
Now, right on cue, my stream's going whirly whirl as well. Yep, got stream issues as well now. Nothing wrong with the computer. Everything's functioning perfectly. Just my expensive gigabit Virgin internet connection that's absolute garbage. Don't buy Virgin. No, nothing. Oh my God. I'm going to round out. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and Jeepers panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.